I'm Kiera Morgan. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Coffee with Kiera, sponsored by the Human Being in Newport and Lincoln City. And today I am so excited to be here on Yaquina Bay at the beautiful Coast Guard station with Beth, who is the CO. Hi.
Hey, good morning. Thank you.
We're so glad to be here with you. First of all, let's talk a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, well, good morning, and I'm happy to have you here with us this morning. It's been a beautiful morning, obviously a gorgeous sunrise and a great start to our crab opener. But my name is Beth Slade. I've been in the Coast Guard for almost 27 years and currently the commanding officer here. We have an amazing crew. This is my second. This is a repeat tour here at Yaquina Bay.
Yay!
I was here back in 2007, and I always thought that coming back here would be kind of a dream job. And getting to run it, now is a perfect time in my career because I'll probably be going out from Yaquina Bay.
Well, we are so happy to have you here. Can you talk a little bit about the Coast Guard and your career and some of the things you do?
Um, so I joined the Coast Guard back in 1997. Originally was going to be joining the Air Force, but my recruiter that I was talking to was gone, and the Coast Guard recruiting office was right next door. And I ended up joining that day and went off to boot camp 2 months later. And then I only planned on doing 4 years. Went to Seattle for my first tour and absolutely fell in love with the mission and the people and the camaraderie. And now I've made a full career of it. I spent most of my career up and down Oregon, Washington coast. I did a couple years down in California at Station Golden Gate. I was a CO there, and felt like home coming back up the coast here in Oregon. And this is certainly where our family will end up settling. My husband's in the Coast Guard. He's running Station Coos Bay, so they're busy down there right now with the opener as well. We have 3 kids, 14, 17, and 19, and they're all living in North Bend. So I have to balance the work life running down there, and they come up here often. But it was a good fit to keep them in high school and a place where they can call home now after bouncing around for many years.
So let's talk about Station Yaquina Bay. It's seen some changes over the past couple of years.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
So obviously, being out here on the coast, just infrastructure wise, we see a lot of weather, and that's obviously our buildings are wrapped right now undergoing some major renovations from water damage and getting things back up to good standards for the crew who live here and work here. Um, and just in general, we've seen this last year some significant shortages just across all military branches, but the Coast Guard, and we're feeling it here at our units. We've reduced almost our crew complement by almost 30%. So
Wow.
maintaining that same operational readiness is a little bit more challenging, especially with 3 boats and a 29 and our assets that we're maintaining and the training and the operational missions that go with it. So we've seen some challenges over the last couple of years. Commandant has made some big changes for us to help recomplement our crews, taken some closures to certain units to help amplify those units that are most likely to see a SAR heavy mission, like out here.
And there's been the retirement of one of the very special vessels, the Victory.
Yes. So I'm a 52 sailor. I absolutely love the 52s. I first certified at Cape Disappointment on the Motor Lifeboat Triumph, and then again at Coos Bay on the Intrepid, and obviously my first time here at YB was the Victory. So I definitely have a love for the platform. I've been out in some of the worst of conditions, and I know that having a platform of that capabilities is essential. So we're definitely feeling the gap here. There's a little bit of uneasiness knowing that a lot of our fleet and the boats that are going to be operating along the Oregon coast exceed even our 47's capabilities. And we always want to make sure we're prepared. I know we're in the beginning stages acquisition with a potential replacement for our 52, a modern day lifeboat too, which would be
Mhm.
great. When we're talking about being out for 15 to 20 hours in, some of the worst of the Pacific Northwest conditions, having a resource too that has the crew comforts for that longevity is certainly essential in the
And
rebuild.
you work closely with the other Coast Guard, obviously with Coos Bay, but there's just a hop, skip, and a jump north
Hmm.
station, Depot Bay.
Yes, we have a really great relationship with Depot Bay. Obviously, most of their fleet is staying inside the harbor during the winter months, and having them come down and do joint training with us so they maintain their, proficiency. And we certainly cover each other's AOR often. If we get
Now, what's
anybody,
AOR?
our area of responsibility. I apologize. Acronyms are like very fluid for us.
I know.
But our area of responsibility, obviously, we share a boundary line just north of Beverly Beach, Spencer Creek area there. And a lot of times, if we've got, our fleet, our fishing boats that, have trouble up in their AOR, they'll respawn and then bring them down, obviously, to here.
And let's talk a little bit about safety. As you mentioned, this is the opening of crab season. Let's talk about how the Coast Guard is ready to help.
Well, we start planning early on when we know that crab season is coming into play. One is part of our just training regiment, making sure that we're conducting numerous exercises to make sure our crews are proficient with towing or any type of casualty that we might see out there. Doing really good inspects of our boats, making sure that they're obviously fully mission capable. That we're not degradation in our capabilities. So our boats are ready, our crews are ready, and then just getting the pulse of the fleet and how things are going. Like the build up for this opener. We weren't sure if everyone's going to be moving. Some last night and this morning, based on prices and even just crab quality. Those are things that we sort of uh, pay attention to heavily so we can prepare the crew, especially as we get into the holiday season too. And, you know, Pacific Northwest, Oregon coast, it's rainy, it's sometimes crappy weather. A lot of these kids that we've got are far away from their family and homes,
Mhm.
and trying to maintain their morale. And in fact, as an opener comes, this is something that the crew's excited for, not for any casualties to be out on the water, but just knowing that there's an uptick of people out on the water, and a heightened awareness and a sense of responsibility and belonging with the community.
And let's talk a little bit more about safety. And that is, you guys don't just help out when it comes to the safety of fishermen and out on the water, but quite often, and especially as we're in the high tide, king tide
Hmm.
season, folks get stranded on rocks and beaches, and
Yes.
you guys are right there to help out with the local emergency crews, right?
Yes. I think last Friday they had some up north. Depot
Mhm.
Bay was responding to. But that happens, and obviously we put out our broadcasts, just for awareness of what's going on in the bars. But we're always very aware of, when we have those bigger seas, bigger periods, what our beaches might look like. And if we have a lot more activity on the beach, it's a heightened awareness that we know there's a potential for something to happen in a response. Every day when our crews come on duty and they go through who's got which boat, we always man 2 boat crews, so we have a backup boat with us if we're responding. um, but we also cover weather, tides, everything for forecast for the next 2-day duty period that they're on, so that when those calls come in, they already have a pretty good idea of exactly what everything looks like out on the coastline, and they're ready to go. So there's a lot of constant planning and preparation and risk management that goes into just starting the day and then actually leaving the dock on a boat.
And you still have the helicopter,
Yes.
right? The
Hmm.
helo.
The helo from North Bend. Yep, at the air stay.
And that's an integral part of your mission and what you do in helping out using that
Yes.
helicopter. It's
Hmm.
invaluable, would you say?
It is, yes. A lot of times they can, depending on location, they will be our first resource on scene, to at least provide immediate action before we're able to get there. So we rely heavily on them, not only for the response, but even for our coverage. When we're crossing the bar and
Mm-hmm.
it's really big, a lot of times they'll come in, and if it's at nighttime, help light up the bar with the spotlights as well.
Oh, that's got to be
Mhm.
really helpful. It's
Yes.
not like there's street lights out
No, no.
out on the
And
ocean.
at nighttime, it looks a lot different. It's a little bit more intimidating than
I
than
can
during the day.
imagine. All right, and let's talk about how the community can support Station Yaquina Bay and the Coast Guard.
I think the continued support for us is, just maintaining some good communication with us. We're always available on the radio if mariners have questions about conditions out there. I would welcome, anybody that wants to come by and visit and have a cup of coffee and talk about, because the boaters education, and that is actually what helps prevent us from having to go and do a lot of
Mhm.
responses. Just educating boaters on conditions, tides, and to just call, and it's okay to call. That's why we're here, is to help educate.
And the importance of wearing a life jacket. Can we talk a little bit about that? That is imperative. And I know that there's some work that's being done to kind of make the life jackets more comfortable and
Hmm.
more hopefully wearable, making them like actual jackets
Yes.
or sweatshirts or t-shirts, things
Hmm.
like that, that have that flotation in them that when they get wet. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. One, yes, a good plug to please always wear your life jacket, and especially when you're crossing the bar. Anytime you have reservations or you're in an area that you're unfamiliar with, better safe than sorry. Put it on. If you're not wearing it all the time, which I would highly recommend. But yes, the comforts of some of the new build of life jackets is pretty amazing. So when it comes to comfort, I don't think that that's the excuse that people should have. And salt activated, I mean, they don't have to be inflated all the time, but should they, you end up in the water, then they'll be activated and they will save your life. So get out and get your life jacket and make sure you got it on.
Is it a realistic expectation that in an emergency you'd have time to reach underneath a seat
No.
and get in a life jacket and help others?
No,
And
because people panic. I mean, when you're in a situation where, you're scared and you're not thinking clearly, so just be proactive and take those preventative measures ahead of time instead of trying to rely on your instincts on the reactive side of things.
well, and the water here is very cold.
Very cold.
And if you think about it, the first thing you do, if I were to take a cold glass of water and splash it in your face, your first instinct is to gasp.
Yes.
And when you're in the water and you gasp, you're inhaling the water, correct?
Yes. Yes. That and trying to lessen your motion in the water. I mean, if you don't have a PFD on, then you're exhausting your body's resources. When you're talking about hypothermia, you need to preserve those resources and try and keep in a very minimal movement state, till we can get on scene or resources are available to assist.
All right. Anything else you can think of that you'd like to share?
No, it's been great. I mean, it's a great morning, for December out here for a crab opener. This has been
Keeping
amazing
warm
weather.
with coffee.
I appreciate you guys being here, and I look forward to a safe and successful crab season for all of our community. And we are here. If anybody needs anything, we're always here.
So, can you give? Do you have like a website, Facebook page, somewhere people can go to get, for instance, tide information or weather information?
Yes, we do. Well, our main Go Coast Guard page, but we've got our District 13 page that actually has um, all the links for every single bar broadcast and bar pamphlets, so everyone can see what our regulated navigation areas are. It also shows an updated one screenshot from National Weather Service with current bar conditions with restrictions. Um, yeah, the Coast Guard District 13 webpage has got it all.
All right. Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
joining me today on this beautiful morning. Thank you for everything that you do and to your crews. Thanks for keeping our community, our fishermen, and our citizens safe. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if you liked what you see, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. I'm Kiera Morgan. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Coffee with Kiera. Again, we're sponsored by The Human Being in Newport at 6th Street and Highway 101, and in Lincoln City at the north end of the highway. And they are located next to TLC Credit Union. Reporting for Coffee with Kiera, I'm Kiera Morgan.